Elaine Johnson is the best right tackle in football. He's the best right tackle. Yet, every list I look at the top 10 tackles, he's not even on there. How can this possibly be when the guy is the best right tackle in all of football? And this leads me to a bigger question. What Eagle players are top 3 at their position going into the 2019 season? 18th pick in the NFL draft.
Hey, make us lunch. We're hungry.
Dallas still stinks. You're my boo. King ding by here. And you know, there's a YouTuber out there that's very, very mad at me. Very mad at me. They did a video yesterday. Now, in all fairness, I haven't seen this video yet. Maybe I'll watch it later if I get to it. But this person is very mad at me. And from what people tell me, he's not mad at me because I said he's dancing for me. He's not mad at me because I basically told him I own him. I basically told him I'm his pimp daddy. But he's not mad about that. No, he is mad about one thing. He's only mad that I did not name drop him in my video. And by doing this, he's exposed his true intentions. You know, you think you're going to get me to name drop you that way, you got something else coming. But you know what? On the other hand, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a great mood. I'm in a fantastic mood. So I'm a good person. I try to do the right thing. I'm going to name drop him one time and one time only. This is it. I figure just get it out of the way, give him what he wants one time, and then we're done. So that's what I'm going to do. Not only that, I'm going to put his picture up. I'm going to put his picture so you can see his face and you can know his name. All right? That's what I'm going to do for this guy. I hope he appreciates this. I hope he appreciates it. All right? So, anyways, without further ado, this is what he looks like, and his name is... Now, here to perform his top YouTube hit, here is White Rerun. Bad dog is a mad dog, 'cause he knows the Giants always stink. They trade Odell Beckham, draft Daniel Jones. I know I can't sing. He's got the ugliest feet on YouTube, and I just double moonwalked your ass again. Woo! So there you have it. There's his name. I dropped it the one and only time ever. It's out of the way, and quite frankly, it was fun while it lasted. But I want to get to more important things, to things that matter, like the battle for the NFC East between the Eagles and the Cowboys, because we know it's a two-team race, because the Giants are irrelevant. They stink. The Giants always stink, and we're going to sweep them again like we always do. It's nothing to beat the Giants. It's easy. It's just like, you know, done. You know what I mean? But Cowboys-Eagles is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. And like I said in the intro, what I want to talk about in this video is I want to give you the Eagle players who I think are the top 3 at their position going into the 2019 NFL season. There's going to be some guys that you may feel are left off the list, maybe guys who are getting ready to have a breakout year, but they're not there yet. Okay, I'm talking about the guys who have established themselves and I think are top 3 players in the NFL at their position. Now, the first guy who I want to mention on this list is none other than Elaine Johnson, who I think is the best right tackle in the National Football League. The inspiration for this video really came after I was reading an article, Monday Morning Quarterback. They listed their top 10 tackles, and Elaine Johnson was not on the list. And at first I was like, how can you not put Elaine Johnson on the list? And then I looked at SI's top 10 and some others, and I noticed that they don't put Elaine Johnson in the top 10 in any of these lists. And then I started to realize they really don't put right tackles in general. So it's not that just Elaine Johnson doesn't get enough love. Just in general, right tackles do not get a lot of appreciation or love. Even when they do Pro Bowl voting, okay, most of the guys selected are always left tackles. And the idea is that, you know, the thinking is that left tackles are always your best offensive lineman on your team. That's how it's been done before. But the Eagles kind of turned things around, switched up the game. Now, there was a great video on this. I forget the guy who did it. If you guys know, put the link to the video in the description, and I'll pin it, because he basically was talking about how what the Eagles did was they got Elaine Johnson, and they were going to move him to left tackle originally, but they kept him at right tackle because what was happening was defensive coordinators were starting to put their best pass rusher over the right tackle. They wanted to keep him away from the best offensive lineman on the offense, which usually is the left tackle, and they were putting them with to go against the right tackle, and they would take advantage of that matchup. And Elaine Johnson, in my opinion, is the best offensive lineman on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. I mean, Jason Peters is older now; he's not in his prime anymore. But Elaine Johnson is that right tackle, and he goes up against the best pass rushers week in, week out. I think 2017, I don't even know if he gave up a sack. DeMarcus Lawrence has been shut down against him. He's shut down countless numbers of guys. Now, he started slow last year. He had the MCL sprain, but I think after week 5, I don't think he gave up another sack the rest of the year. Elaine Johnson is, in my opinion, the best right tackle in football, and just in general, right tackles don't get enough appreciation, and they really should. But it's because that the thinking is that the left tackle is always going to be, the blind side of the quarterback and always be the top guy. But in this case, the Eagles moving Elaine Johnson over to right tackle has basically put him up against the best pass rushers, because that's how defenses really tried to get away from putting their best pass rusher against the best offensive lineman. And just to be clear, I understand if you have a left-handed quarterback, the blind side is his right side, which would mean your best offensive lineman would be the right tackle. But most of the time you're going to have, a right-handed quarterback, and the left tackle is the best offensive lineman on a team. He is protecting the blind side. It's always the blind side in which the best offensive lineman on a team is thought to be on. With the Eagles, Elaine Johnson is the best offensive lineman, and he's the best right tackle, and he goes up against the best pass rushers year in, year out, and he dominates them. So I have Elaine Johnson, my number 1 in the league at the right tackle position. My number 2 guy that I want to talk about, who is the best at his position, is not only the best in the division, but he's the best in the league, and that is running back Jordan Howard. He is so much better than Zeke Elliott and Saquon Barkley. No doubt. Okay, I got you, Dallas fans and Giant fans, I got you. I just had to say it just to piss you off for like a second. Just for like a second. I'm kidding. I like Jordan Howard. He's not a top 3 running back, but I just had to do that to bust your balls. No, in all seriousness, the second guy I want to talk about is Jason Kelsey. I think Jason Kelsey is number 1, number 2. It's debatable between 1 and 2 center in the National Football League. I think Jason Kelsey is a fantastic center. And, truthfully, when he was coming up early in his career, I always thought he was too small. He gets pushed around a little too much, but every year he gets better and better. And he's such a good center, and he does such a great job when he pulls and he blocks downfield. The guy is fantastic. What a fantastic center. Very, very smart. And I think Jason Kelsey is arguably the best center in the National Football League. He's definitely top 2 at the very least, but he is one hell of a player. The other guy who I think on an offense who's a top 3 player right now is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, to me, is the best tight end in football. The guy is the best tight end in football. I think last year proved it. Some people may say that it's not him, it's Kelsey, whatever. I think Zach Ertz is the best tight end in football, and it's going to be so interesting watching him with Deshaun Jackson now, opening the field more, and then another year with Dallas Goedert and him. But Zach Ertz is a tremendous, tremendous player. I think his best years are still in front of him, and he is a guy that if he has a few more years like this, he could be a Hall of Fame type player. Zach Ertz, to me, is the best tight end in the National Football League, okay? No doubt about it. Now, I'm going to switch sides to the defensive side of the ball, and the guy I have to talk about is Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox is a beast. He's a beast, and I would say he's definitely probably the second best defensive tackle, if not the best, in the National Football League. Fletcher Cox does it all. He dominates year in, year out, and he wreaks havoc on other teams. And now, with him and Jernigan and Malik Jackson, I think that they're going to dominate people this year. I really, really do. But Fletcher Cox is the man on defense, and to me, I don't know how anybody could say he is not a top 3 guy. I think he's the best guy. But if you want to say Donald, okay, fine. But he's at least the second best defensive tackle in the National Football League, okay? The last person I have on this list, I expect this to be a little bit controversial to non-Eagle fans. And you know what? That's okay. Everybody has a right to their opinion. But I think Malcolm Jenkins is a top 3 safety in this league. I would have him ranked at number 3. I have Jamal Adams, Derwin James, 1 and 2. They're both young guys. Then I have Malcolm Jenkins. Guys like Landon Collins, I really don't care that much for. I don't think he's good in pass coverage. I think there are guys who are sending players that have to show me more, like Eddie Jackson. But there are guys out there that are very good. But I think Malcolm Jenkins, when you look at consistency, you look at a guy that doesn't miss plays, you look at a guy who could play the run, he can cover, he can play linebacker, he can cover tight ends, he can cover running backs. Malcolm Jenkins can do it all, plus he's a leader. He's a huge leader for the Philadelphia Eagles, and, I don't know of any bigger leaders than Malcolm Jenkins on other teams. He's just so important to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I have him rated as a top 3 safety. And I know that may be controversial to some people. I know some people may be saying, well, what about Earl Thomas? Earl Thomas was hurt last year. I didn't include guys that got hurt last year that are coming back from injury because we really don't know where they're at with their injury. That's why I left Brandon Brooks off this list, because I think Brandon Brooks is a top 3 guard if he's healthy. He was last year. He was maybe the best guard last year in football. Definitely top 3. He was fantastic until his injury. So I left the guys that were injured off the list. But I think Malcolm Jenkins, I think it's fair to put him on this list. I think he deserves it. I think that's probably why he wants more money. But I have Malcolm Jenkins as a top 3 safety. He's just so valuable for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everything he can do for this team. And that's basically the list I have. I know there are some guys that maybe aren't there yet. There are some guys maybe ready for breakout years and all those kind of things. We'll see. But the guys that have established themselves, that have done it last year, who I think are top 3 at their position, who are Eagles, that's it. It's Elaine Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Zach Ertz, Fletcher Cox, and Malcolm Jenkins. Those are the guys I see as top 5. And then Brandon Brooks, but if he was healthy, but he's not. So I want to know what your list is. I want you guys to tell me who you have on your list, what Eagles are top 3 at their position. I want to know. And if you're, Cowboy fan, Redskin fan, stinking Giant fan, tell me, the guys on your team who you think are top 3 in the league at their position. I want to hear. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.